What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Back with my segment, The Rundown. So, what it is, if you're new to the channel, is I run down the hot topics in boxing currently for today, and you don't have to click on a bunch of videos. All the information is contained right here. I want to talk about a couple things in boxing. First of all, since the fight is coming up next, Nicholas Walters versus Miguel Mariaga, which is happening tomorrow on HBO. Nicholas Walters lost his title on the scale. He made an attempt at weighing in. He was about a pound and a half over. Then he had 2 hours to shed that, and he still came in at 127. He said he tried everything and was unsuccessful, could not lose the amount of pounds to get him back to featherweight. He said he's been on an eight month layoff, and he tried everything he could, and it didn't work for him. Now, this is a huge disappointment for me because Nicholas Walters is a newer champion, and he made he has a tough fight. First of all, that's one thing. If you're struggling to make weight, right, then who knows how you're gonna look in the fight? Because especially if you didn't make weight, then you try to legitimately lose the weight, who knows what you had to do that, you know what I mean, to try to lose the pound. So I don't know. Going in against a guy who beat you in the amateurs, who's a power puncher, might not be a good look for him. So that's one thing. And the other thing is because even if he wins, now you're not a champion anymore. And to me, I was looking forward to, if he were to win his fight, one, that will be the perfect momentum. Going in there against a puncher that beat you previously, great backstory, and then that would set up a unification for the fall with Vasyl Lomachenko and Nicholas Walters. Now they could still, if Walters wins tomorrow, they could still make that fight, but it loses some luster since it's not a unification anymore. Like, I wanted to see them at their best, both as champions and then fight. You know what I mean? So disappointing, definitely unprofessional. 8 months, I understand. I mean, there's other people who've had longer layoffs than that, so there's really no excuse. Some people come back after 15-month layoffs. Like Berto, he had a 15-month layoff before he fought because he tested positive, and he had a 15-month layoff, fought Guerrero, showed heart. He made weight, though. Lamont Peterson, he had about a 15-month layoff when he came back and fought Kendall Holt, and he won that fight via stoppage. So 8 months isn't that long unless you let yourself go and you gain a lot of weight, you know what I mean, in that off season. So disappointing for Nicholas Walters because, I mean, it happened to Mikey Garcia. Nobody wants to see like me, this is how I look. Like Mikey Garcia when he lost his title on the scale, Brandon Rios, Nicholas Walters, all these guys. It's disappointing because you work so hard to become a champion. And to me, the way I think of it is I don't want to see them lose their belt unless somebody defeats them. That should be the only way you lose your belt. Other than that, this is your job year round. You know what I mean? Be professional, get a nutritionist, diet, whatever you have to do. Work out harder, put in an extra 1 or 2 miles in training camp each day or whatever you got to do because you had one job. This is your job. So to me, I only want to see people lose their titles, not because they're ducking opponents and avoiding their mandatories or not making weight. I want to see them lose their title only if, and this should be the only time you lose your title, is if you relinquish it because you want to, or somebody takes it from you, takes it by force, but never on the scale. So I'm never a fan of that. Broner missed weight versus Vicente Escobedo. I've just never been a fan of that. In the next order of business, Carl Froch and Gennady Golovkin. I knew it sounded too good to be true, but from what I am hearing, Eddie Hearn made a statement publicly, and it sounds like we don't know what Carl Froch wants to do. Very, very disappointing because Triple G is looking for that type of name, and it's getting to the point where I can't even, I mean, if he has to keep fighting Willie Monroe's, I won't be happy with it, but I legitimately, at this point, think there's a lot of people who don't necessarily want to take that risk and fight him. I mean, what else is there to believe? Like, I haven't seen a lot of people, the credible names, step up and go jumping for joy to face this dude. Peter Quillen, Chavez Jr. had an opportunity at one point, and then it stalled out with his legal troubles or whatever. Carl Froch had an opportunity. They said they could probably go up to 168 to fight him. He's like BSing about, oh, should I go and retire? Should I fight him? And this is a fighter who fights actively. Triple G is a very active fighter, fights 3, 4, maybe 5 times a year, and they're trying to keep that momentum and keep that fan base. That's why I've noticed improvements with Triple G. He's working on his English and things like that. And ever since he coined the Mexican style, they're really working on his brand at this point. He already has an exciting style to the public and to the fans, especially even if you don't like boxing, he might make you like boxing based on the sensational knockouts and the power and stuff like that and how he delivers it. So, I mean, every time it comes to these situations, from what I've seen, like the Cottos, the Canelo, Oscar said Canelo's going to wait 2 years to fight him. Cotto's like, oh, I'm the A side. I've had to wait. I've been the B side. He has to wait his turn in line. So it's like all of these dudes, when it comes to it, it sounds to me, and I'm trying to be as fair as possible, but for the most part, it sounds like Team Golovkin is not the obstacle in most of these situations. So very disappointing. It sounds like, I mean, what else would, they said they will fight him in the UK. They said they'll fight Froch in the UK at 168. So, I mean, what else is there? I mean, the ball's in Froch's court. So if he's stalling, nobody's going to hold their career on the line and wait all day for you to decide. Same thing with Canelo. Canelo was in a similar situation. They wanted to make the Cotto fight a second time. They're like, Cotto, come on, what's up? And De La Hoya said, oh, we got to move on. Cotto hasn't gotten back to us. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what they're going to decide. And from a business perspective, nobody wants to just stall out their fighter's career. It's never a good look. Ask Amir Khan. Amir Khan did it thinking he was going to be in the Mayweather sweepstakes, and he passed up on an opportunity to fight Devin Alexander, which he later beat. But he could have beat him a lot sooner and maybe even fought Mayweather by now if he had the same performance that he had versus Devin Alexander the year they were initially supposed to fight. You know what I mean? Maybe at this point he would have got the Mayweather fight. Who knows? But he was on the bench. He waited like a whole year and never got the Mayweather fight. So to me, I would never recommend a fighter stall their own career waiting for somebody, especially when you're like Triple G, undefeated, knocking dudes out, 20 consecutive knockouts, and you have momentum. It makes no sense. Carl Froch is the name that will get them recognition if they were to defeat him. But Carl Froch, he seems like he has the personality, and I'm a huge Carl Froch fan, but he has the personality where he wants to call the shots. He definitely has a solid resume. He's put in the work, and he's kind of in that role where he's like, oh, I could decide what I want. He has a job with Sky Sports. And it's just, like I said, it's very disappointing because I was looking forward to Froch versus Triple G. That's the fight that's going to make or break Triple G. Is he everything that we expect? That would be a huge win. If he can beat Froch, that would be a huge win, especially depending on how he beat him. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. It just, from what I see, it doesn't sound like Team Triple G is the major holdup in these fights. And I talked to Tom Loeffler in LA, and realistically, what he said sounded true. He said everybody says they're down to fight Triple G. And then when it comes time to sign on the dotted line and make those fights, it's just like, oh, we're not available right now, or maybe later, that kind of thing. And it's hard to really dispute what Loeffler said. At this rate, what else could Triple G do to get these fights with these dudes? If you guys have suggestions on how he can get the names that we all want to see him fight, the Peter Quillins, the Cottos, the Canelos, Carl Froch is in the ring, I don't know. You know what I mean? He's undefeated. He's knocking everybody out. He's asking for the fights. I mean, at this point, maybe he should fight Edeslandi Lara and be the first to stop him if he can stop him, or whatever the outcome of that fight is. Maybe he needs to take more fights like that. At least it's a bigger name than Willie Monroe. I really don't know at this point. And then the last bit of news is David Haye is showing interest in fighting Anthony Joshua. I don't know how serious he is about it. He's been, quote unquote, retired or on a very long layoff. So I don't know really what it would take for that fight to happen. Very interesting fight if David Haye is serious about it, in shape. He packs a punch, so that could show us something about Anthony Joshua and his chin. He went the distance with Klitschko. I wouldn't mind the fight, to be honest. But I got to see that David Haye is serious. Let me know what you guys think of the rundown, this particular episode. Make sure you drop me a comment As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.
Somebody bigger,
There's certainly a lot of great names at 168. It's just he's got so many guys left at 160 that would be the priority, is to unify the titles. If there's a big fight that comes up at 168, he has no hesitation of moving up or even moving down. I mean, he's a small middleweight, so he would move down as well. There's no question. I mean, when I go down the list, up and down the list with HBO, and who would be possible and who's not possible, it always seems to be, we'd fight him, but just not next. So that's why we're going to make a shirt, Triple G, just not next. So people don't want to say they don't want to fight him, but it's just hard to get him in the ring at that particular time.